My Hero Academia.
Brian, why?
Yeah, Brian. It's a shame not to have Brian here. But this is My Hero Academia, chapter 378. The story of how we all became heroes, part 4. Last we left off, what's his face? I almost called him Stigma, but I know his name is it's the villain guy, that the hacker villain. Skeptic, thank you. I almost called him Stigma. Skeptic was hacking UA systems, and he was pretty excited about that. But then he got counter-hacked by La Brava.
And her Renegade.
Yeah, and her Renegade. That's so true. She should be out there fighting all for one right now. She's got a fucking Renegade.
Almighty push.
Almighty push.
Instead, she's pushing these memes. Skeptic. By the way, did you look this up by any chance? The pump dance?
No, I don't know. What is?
I looked up like 4 different videos.
Is that a thing?
So like, I'm not gonna do the whole dance, okay?
Okay.
But the part that they're doing, all right, I know you've seen this dance before, right? When like
you dropped your phone.
Oh shit. I dropped everything.
Damn.
And my tablet. Okay. Sorry for those listening on the pod. You won't be able to see this.
But what I'm doing is
I forget the name of the fucking dance, but it's like, what is it like?
You tell me. Oh, really? That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's that.
I think I know what you're talking about. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm dumbing out. I can't remember, but he's like they hit the thumbs back like that.
Yeah.
But it's a whole dance. There's a bunch of moves and shit.
Oh, that's that Fortnite one.
Yeah, but no, they this is different. But they incorporated that one Fortnite dance into it. But they put the thumb up. But it's so fucking hilarious because I'm watching a bunch of different videos to see that one part where the cat is doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And like that's only maybe what, like 5% of the dance.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this whole thing, like, and most of the videos I'm watching is these Japanese VTuber videos.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know what a VTuber is.
Yeah. But then it's not a VTuber, it's just like animated. Like they're like animated dancing, but it looks whatever. Look.
I thought that was really funny. Where it was like, the pump dance? Make it stop. Turns out La Brava hacked Skeptic before in like while he was like working as a shut-in, and now she just came back to haunt him. So even though like Skeptic is freaking the fuck out, he's off to like I guess counter hack La Brava. All the meanwhile UA is still plummeting to the ground. So they're like, hurry up and do something. And she's just trying to figure out how to like get everything up and working again. And Sukauchi, the recurring detective that we've seen, that usually works with the heroes. He's just overhearing this cop yelling at La Brava, being like, we should have known it would be a bad call to leave our final line of defense to a convicted villain still in custody. And Sukauchi's like, a crime is a crime and we can't erase the past, but it's not always a lost cause. And he flashbacks to Aoyama, I guess implying that Aoyama is not a lost cause. Meanwhile, Midoriya and Shigaraki are still doing their heroes and villains stare down. All the heroes are like kind of reeling at the UA falling and trying to figure out, try to fucking do damage control as best they could with all these twices running around. And the guys in the fighter pilots are like watching on in this, but then one of them looks over and is like, wait, who's that? And descending from the skies, it seems, or like flying upward, is a very familiar face. Very fucking little cool moment. We see that as Skeptic is leaving, he gets intercepted by a couple of the characters from the other school. I remember this kid, the vibrational kid, and Miss Joke here. Um,
Mm.
and they seem to catch up Skeptic. And Sukaochi looks on, saying, "It's up to you, Tobita." And we get a full view of a gentle criminal descending from the skies, looking cool as shit, very excited.
Very cool.
Very cool. And we get a flashback to the initial jailbreak, um, that released a bunch of criminals, including Muscular. Um, and a lot of the characters a lot of the villains were stopped on their way by Gentle Criminal, who is just like trying to get them to not escape prison. Uh, and is like, is this what you really want? And he's just trying to do his part and be a hero. And of course, the villains are like, of course, this is what we want, and they all mob him. Um, we I guess the rest is history. They beat him up. We get this really dope panel of him in a pose like this with the water splashing all around him. uh
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to shout out that panel because it's pretty fucking rad. But yeah, Gentle Criminal tried his best to keep everybody away. And wait, seven prisons oh, and he stopped everyone. I didn't even notice that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stopped everyone from escaping this prison using his abilities. Um and he's just beat Gentle Criminal is just beat up. And he's like, "What is it that you want, Tobita?" And all he wants is to see La Brava, um and to dot dot dot. And La Brava's he's like, "I'm as greedy as stubborn as they come, and your joy brings me loads more joy of my own, Gentle." And we see that he uses his abilities. As we all know, like, La Brava has the ability to super boost somebody's power, depending on how much she
Oh
loves them.
yeah. I thought he was taking the one of those enhancers.
Nope, that's La Brava Blue Lantern charging his abilities, basically. And Gentle is able to create an entire realm of elasticity in the air that saves Yue from plummeting to the ground. And yeah, he starts to reminisce, is like, on that fateful day to save someone who'd fallen. Uh, he says, "Oh, one of the. I guess he's recalling one of the what the security guards are asking. He was like, 'Tell me, boy, do you once again find yourself fighting for the joy of others?'" Uh, and he starts to think, "Yes, to be service to others was my hope." And yeah, uh, UA is saved currently. We get one of the visages from All for One, who is Banjo, the Black Whip hero, and he shouts out that, like, the balance is broken. He's starting up again. Um, so uh, Shigaraki starts to touch the ground, I guess, to use his decaying power. And right before he does, a bullet comes through and basically cuts off his arm. Um, and Sukaochi is narrating over Midoriya seeing all this happen, and there's like, no matter how much they've fallen, each villain is still a human being. It's on us to recognize that about them. We absolutely have to borrow a phrase from a friend. Deep within each of our hearts, we'll find the starting point, their origin. And we see a big panel of Lady Nagant, pretty much stitched together and using her sniper ability to
It's
basically save the
together.
day from
Yeah.
from miles away. Pretty cool sniper move. And that's where the chapter ends. Wowee. Josh, what did you think about My Hero Academia chapter 378?
This shit was gangster. This was actually my favorite chapter of the week.
Hey!
Certified RGC. Certified RGC.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this was probably my
Yeah, I would probably say that.
I won't mark anything down. I'll just wait. I'll wait.
Yeah.
Well, before I talk about what well, one of the chapter for me was your man showing up, Gentle Criminal. Let's make no mistake, they're weird, okay? The relationship dynamic between Gentle and La Brava I don't like it. It's really creepy to me.
Well,
He's
La Brava is
I know she's
21.
probably a grown woman,
Yeah.
but huh?
La Brava is 21.
Right. It's fine. I'm just saying it still looks weird, and it's like, why would you go out of your way to make something look like this? But different cultures, right? Whatever. Aside from that, I didn't know how to take his him coming back like to the manga, I guess, at first. It was cool. It was like, oh shit, like he's back. But obviously, I wanted to kind of inspect it with a critical lens because in this chapter they're talking a lot about heroes and villains and stuff. So if we go all the way back to the beginning, this is weird. This is weird line that's like, all right, it's on page 415, where they say, "I am your villain. I don't care if you don't understand. That's what makes us heroes and villains," right? So I'll be honest. I'd like to know what you think about that too, Chris. But I don't know what to me, that doesn't mean anything. You know, like it sounds like they're just saying like, yeah, these things are the way they are. Like these people are villains, and that's that. But it's weird because then later on in the chapter, right? You have this detective talking about how villains are still human beings and all of that. And I don't know. I
I have
it's just
I
conflicting.
think I understand, and it's going to be hard to explain because my Horikoshi is, I guess, like in when he gets into like the not the theoretical, the thematic things that he's going for and the way he makes characters express them, they're a little vague in a way. But I think there's a contrast being drawn here between what Shigaraki uh believes is the hero's perspective and what Tsukuyoshi understands about uh just villains in general as well, because we see that the chapter starts off with Shigaraki saying that I don't care if you understand, or I guess implying that it doesn't matter if you understand it, like even if you say you do, you don't. And a lot of, like, he's like, it doesn't matter if you understand what I'm going through or not, you know but that's what makes us heroes and villains, is that these are irreconcilable points of view in Shigaraki's eyes, that he would never understand me. He won't understand why I do what I do. And that's why we'll always just, like, heroes and villains just are destined to fight each other through violence all the time. Because that's part of All for One's whole thing, is just like, they've made mentions of, like, or even Shigaraki is just like, you guys solve every problem by beating people up and throwing them in jail. There's there's a sense of just not understanding why people do things the way they do,
Yeah.
or why people are the way they are. And Shigaraki in that moment is like, well, then if that's the case, then it doesn't fucking matter if you understand. I still have to do what I have to do. And the contrast being drawn with Tsukauchi is just like, he's understanding that, like, villains are people too. Like, they have the capacity to change and to do better and to, you know, be an asset to society if we give them the opportunity, which we see with, obviously Gentle and Lady Nagant and all that
Mhm.
stuff. But I think that's what I drew from it. And I don't know if I'm right or wrong on that,
Yeah.
or if anybody read it
No,
differently, but
my thing is I agree with you. I do. I 100% agree with like what you're saying on paper. I think that like a lot of that makes sense. Especially with I like how you said that with Shigaraki, where it was like it comes down to the point that heroes at a time were just doing what they did because they labeled us all as one. That's just villains that needed to be dealt with and jailed. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
dealt with violently and then locked up, and then that's that. Like that was their role as heroes, and then his roles as villains. Now I kind of get what's being said. I guess what kind of threw me off is that in I can't speak for other countries around the world, but definitely here in America, when you look at like what people are actually going to jail for, like a large, way more. I don't know the actual number, but it's a lot more than 50%. I think it's a little bit over 60%. That majority of people locked up in prison are for non-violent crimes.
Mm.
You know, and even the ones that are like a lot of the cases that are violent crimes are like, you know, like police assault and stuff like that, which you could argue is initiated by cops a lot of the time anyway. That's neither here nor there. I'm trying to say is that, like, you know, when we look at what what is a criminal, right? What is a not villain? I'm gonna separate criminal from villain, because villain and hero, those are more like theoretical terms in my opinion. When you look at a criminal, it's someone that breaks the law, right? But the law is just something we make up. You know what I mean? It's not like these laws of nature. Like if water gets heated up to a certain degrees, it's gonna turn into a vapor. Like that's the truth, no matter what. But you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
certain laws are not the truth everywhere else around the world. You know what I mean? And they change every year. You know what I'm saying? We have new laws, you know, come and go, et cetera, et cetera. So people are criminals because they break laws that we create. You know, so what is what's how do we look at it? Like, all right, what do we do when you start to understand that laws are set up for certain people to not succeed? You know, or laws just aren't in favor for like a group of people. Like for obvious example, Jim Crow era laws. I mean, you could go to jail for voting. You know what I'm saying? So like
Mm-hmm.
you're considered a criminal. You feel me? So when they have all this rhetoric about like villains are humans too, or they can just change and stuff like that. And I feel like it's good for the story. It's a really cool message for the story. But in real life, you know, I don't think it is about any of these people. You know what I'm saying? I think, you know, when you look at it this way, when you put it on the people, it's easy to kind of turn away from the actual systems that create these issues. You know what I mean? So it's everyone listening that's been listening for a minute, you know, with me, you know, my relationship with My Hero Academia, you know that I'm pretty sensitive to when it comes to law enforcement and the dynamic of the hero and villain society. So I just think it's important for everyone to be aware, like, you know, criminals, like people are labeled criminals. It's not like it's like this undeniable truth. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, you're a thief. You're a criminal if you steal something, right? Like that's breaking a crime. But what if you're starving? You know, what if it's someone that's starving? I think that's okay. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
think that's like there's nuance to that. So we always have to remember that, like, you know what I mean? Like, just because people are in jail, we can't, you know, they're not just automatically bad people that need to fucking
Yeah.
change fundamentally or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's what they're trying to say here. That's what the villains, at least like the core group of the villains, the League of Villains here. You know, all these
Yeah.
people they're criminals in a technical sense, and you know, it's a more dramatic sense with My Hero villains because they've actually murdered people, uh,
Right.
and jazz and all that stuff. So technically, they are criminals, but I think like the message is that there is an underlying issue. It is that like question of what if they're starving? You know, like yes, Toga murdered people. You know, yes, she killed like a couple students. You know, like at her class, but she's mentally ill. Like she,
Oh, well, I want to be clear here. Murder is pretty,
yeah, you
that's
know,
very
it's an
different.
extreme. These are extreme examples, obviously,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
know, it is like attempting to kind of like draw these lines. Like Shigaraki is Shigaraki is also a murderer, and you could argue a mass murder, but also like the society that has been the status quo that as exists was one that allowed him to really slip through the cracks. And when you, I guess, have these extreme examples, if you're like buying like the Shigaraki as like a figure in a thesis, you would understand that like there would be somebody in the world that would fall through the cracks of what was supposed to be a perfect system of law enforcement, being very angry at this system and wanting to strike back at the system. And this is how, I guess, like extremist people are, kind of born there. It's, if you want to like take this argument and be like, there's an origin that, and there's a root cause, a systemic root cause for most criminals. I think that's what Horikoshi's trying to do with all of the, at least, core groups of the League of Villains.
Right. Even if he's not doing it well at all with articulating it.
Yeah, I mean,
I can agree with you that
yeah, he's not articulating well.
It is implied. It's not like this completely random fucking 70s or 80s era Batman villain. You know what I mean?
No, it is kind of brutal with My Hero Academia, where we're getting these rushed chapters because, and we talk a lot about how like the League of Villains was received in Japan, and these are all just things we've heard on the internet. They seem to be true, and I feel like that kind of fucking sucks when the main thesis of your story, which are the League of Villains, they're almost all like secondary. They're like supporting casts almost, in a way. They're almost like protagonists in and of themselves. I feel Horikoshi intended, just because of how much he wanted to tell through them. Like a lot of the world building was probably contained within these characters.
Yeah.
A lot of the world that we don't see, we see through Toga, we see through Spinner, most of all, to be honest. Like Spinner is supposed to be a representative of all this underlying discrimination that we didn't really get to see throughout the series. And there's just like so much of the world that are within these characters. And from what I understand, he probably wasn't really allowed to go deeper with them in his own time because of the poor reception of the My Villain Academia arc, supposedly. So, I'm sure that like if and I'm not denying that it's not true because I could buy it, but if it is true, I'm sure his editors advised him to kind of like shift focus from them, which was a bummer because you could tell that he really got a kick out of writing these people, and had a lot to say through them, but we don't have enough time with them. So yeah, it's hard to, it is tough to grade My Hero Academia on its own merit, given what we know about the complications of its creation and its production.
Yeah, that's not. You know what? I'm honestly willing to look past that. Well, not even willing. I have to be frank with you. That is kind of the lens I look at it through the series. That it is definitely toned down, and I hate to drag him for it, but what can I do? You know what I mean? He should have took a stand. What can I say?
Yeah,
man, who am I to say that? I'm not gonna judge him, but I'm, I have my opinion on that. But anyway, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it just,
when you look at the people that came out the prison. I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying it was just like not the same after My Villain.
It wasn't. It wasn't, and I feel like it happened during My Villain too.
Yeah,
because you see how he wrapped it up and set up this whole war thing literally immediately after. That was it. You know what I mean? That was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Honestly, that was literally it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it right there. I mean, I didn't care for the overhaul arc that much. I didn't.
Overhaul was before that.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't. Sometimes I feel like it started that me starting to not care for the series as much started there, but that's not true. I was disappointed, but I was still looking ahead. And then after when it got to the war arc is when I guess I started to feel like, oh, all right, this is not good. Anyway, I wanna finalize this point I'm making. when you had Gentle Criminal at this prison, right? And he's holding his hand out to stop people, and he's like, "Please consider, just like this is not the right answer to leave the prison and go out." In this situation, he's doing the right thing, because look at all of these people. What are they all saying? We want to murder. He's like, damn right. He's like, is this really what you desire, to fucking burn the world down and wild out? And he was, and it's only one person saying damn right, but he stopped the entire prison. Look at him. That's what it's implied. Like, he fought damn near like an entire villain base. So it's just weird. It's just weird to me, Chris, because things are not adding up. And I don't know if you're understanding. Like, I thought Hero Society was fucked up, right? And things needed to change and things were fucking unfair. It's not being reflected in the prison system, because these guys are all fucking psychopaths. Like, this is Hunter x Hunter or something.
Yeah.
You feel me? No, these are murderers. They need to be removed from society. Listen, I don't think they need to be executed or rot away in the prisons we have here. I think we need another solution to help these people and help them at an early point in their life and be able to figure that out before they get to that point.
Mhm.
But these people cannot be in normal society. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But that is not the case. That's such a small percentage of people. You in the world in general, and it's a small percentage of in prisons too, bro. Like, there's not that many violent murderers out there. Most of the time, it's like in self-defense or like an assault situation. You know what I mean? Like, people ain't like that, yo. That's not how the world is.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, look,
people aren't crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so that's why I settled it. Like, a lot of this, like, bro, like, it's just weird, because most of these people, had this been real, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like Gentle Criminal would have been a real cornball, because it's like, dog, half these people shouldn't even be there anyway. So what are you doing? But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think two things. I think
it's a manga, so it's just a fake story, right?
Yeah,
but
I think two things can be true. I think there could be very well a lot of people that probably don't deserve to be in that prison, but also a bunch of people that do. I don't know. It's
he's playing around with some serious messages.
I think, like,
I don't think it's something you can just say that this is just,
yeah, but
it's just a story. Like, people are gonna take away something.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do? You're gonna. I feel like it's also realistic to portray every prisoner as just a person that didn't deserve to be there. Some people are criminals. Some people committed crimes.
What I'm
like
saying
real crimes.
is, like, well, I could have the I believe that 100% that in the story these people are all lunatics. You know what I'm saying? It should not be a part of society. What I'm saying is the facts, at least in this country, is that most people locked up shouldn't fucking be there.
Yeah.
There's better solutions. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's
I don't know.
Contributing to the overall image of, like, criminals are criminals, and if you do bad, that's that. You go to jail, and you should be there. And it's like, that's not thinking critically. You know what I mean? That's not encouraging people to challenge that perception, because that's not true. It's just simply not true in the real world. And people take messages away from comics like this. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to put Horikoshi on the stand. I guess I'm just making a point, and I'm kind of laboring it too, because I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, I know what you're saying, and I think what you're saying is right, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think there's nuance in also saying that, like, a lot of people don't deserve to be in prison, but a lot of people also do. It's hard to play that numbers game of we don't know every case. We don't know everything. I guess judging on the context of what Gentle Criminal is. Gentle Criminal is someone in theory who wanted to be a hero, could not be one for whatever reason, and became like kind of like a low level criminal. in theory. He didn't really hurt anybody. He was just doing these like glorified like phantom robberies, but I don't think he ever really hurt anybody. So Gentle Criminal is an example of somebody who didn't really deserve to be in a maximum security prison. But yeah, I don't know.
If any point wants, if I feel like I just want to make the point that like no comic is perfect, no author is perfect. I don't expect people to have all the information and shit. I think that's totally fine, but I just think it is, we had to recognize that these are important topics. And I'll tell you this, Chris, the numbers are out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know them off the top of my head, but any one of us could go pull up a video, you know what I'm saying? Or an article. The statistics are there. You know what I mean? So, but the issue is that people will read something like this and I think, or it's not even about My Hero Academia. It's about media in general. But I guess that's another conversation.
Yeah, but I think you could say the protagonist.
I still love this chapter. Like it made me think.
Mm-hmm. I think you could still say the protagonist of this chapter, if anything, the offsetting of most of these people being portrayed as bad, the main character of this chapter is what you're talking about. Like somebody who doesn't deserve necessarily to be in a prison like this, and just like kind of following his heart to do what's right, and people recognizing him for it and being like, and hopefully the idea is that this would contribute to a change in the system in a way. There's no way to know until the series ends. But
I do agree with you. I think that is being implied.
It's like for every...
The nuance is important, though.
Yeah, I mean, for every...
It sucks that it's lacking. I wish there could have been more to it. I wish there was more meat to this.
I mean, for every person you can argue is bad, there's a ton of people that are good. And I think that's what this chapter in particular is trying to say, is that like for every person who's saying, hell yeah, that's what we want, there's a gentle criminal. There's a Lady Nagant who did some bad stuff, but they had their reasons to do so. And, maybe the stuff they did isn't necessarily warranted to put them in the place that they were in the first place. But at the end of the day, it's what matters is that society is seeing that even these people that were deemed and shown to be villains that were dangerous to society and needed to be locked away have the potential to change. And if it can work for people like Lady Nagant and Gentle Criminal, it could probably work for a lot of people. And the reason that these people in this prison are probably as violent as they were is that they were not given the chance, and they didn't have the optimism that Gentle Criminal had to see that, to lose the faith in the society that Gentle Criminal still held on to. But I don't know. I think there's kind of nuance to this if you look for it. But who knows? I mean, this was also a 15-page chapter, so not a lot to really analyze on that front based on like hard evidence.
Lady Nagant wasn't even a criminal.
She was a government.
She's old. If you ask me, she was done dirty. That was the point of her art.
Yeah, she was.
Which is also why I was a little frustrated that it ended the way it did. And it's like, she doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't need to shoot Shigaraki's hand and save the world. She could have went straight. She could have went to her fucking apartment, cut the fucking TV on, put her feet up, and would have been justified in just being a human being and being able to be free and live. And they should have gave her some fucking money. She should have been able to sue the government and shit.
Yeah.
For what they put her through. They
Well, look, this is
broke the rules with her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They said, no, we can do that because we're special and we can. And fuck you guys. And you know what? We're done with you too, by the way. So fuck you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Lady Nagant was is in the same position as Hawks. She was like the first Hawks in general. So she was like spirited away. Most of the hero community didn't really know that much about her. She was just kind of like this like Black Ops agent until they didn't need her anymore. And that is her origin story as a villain, because coming out and immediately signing up to work with All for One, that was a system that failed her. That's the thing that, like, we see with Shigaraki and Toga and all these guys, is that it's a systemic failure that creates these people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Lady Nagant, I guess, yeah, she is justified in just going home and doing that. But
at least we're creating her and Hawks.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah, but
there's no other evidence that it affects people systemically.
No, I mean, it was the Safety Bureau or whatever. It was a government agency that was like, do all this stuff for you, and then we'll chuck you aside. And so Lady Nagant is like, well, fuck you. I'm going to work for this guy who's like trying to take down your shitty society,
Right.
And it's it's all these people, all these villains are just like victims of a systemic change in a world where everybody sees it as kind of like perfect, and they are not awakened to these realities that few people genuinely experience. And Nagant is one of them. It just happened to her a little later than most. So it's a nuance in My Hero Academia, even though the chapters are very short. But I don't know. I guess maybe I don't know if I'm giving it too much credit, but I did really love this chapter.
I think you're filling in the gaps a lot, and it's fine. You know what I mean? I'm not, because what you're doing is thinking critically. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy to take that for granted from your, for your own self sometimes. You know what I mean? But some people are truly not aware to these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? All we could do is
what you're gonna do. What we're gonna do. That's why I try to speak up when I see weirdo shit going down. In the media that I observe and I intake. We always have to take a moment when it comes to these serious issues.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, all we could do is read, and we come on the show and we say what we say, and we put our stuff out into the universe, and then the universe takes it from there. But
like, if they are talking about football, I wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Who cares? I'm not gonna. You know what I mean? You say what the fuck you want. It's sports, entertainment.
Spirits.
You know what I mean? Talk about chess or something. What was Bakuman about? The manga industry? Well, I guess we could say how maybe it's a light criticism. Go down that route. Whatever. Look.
Yeah.
You know how I feel.
Hey.
I think it's time to move on.
Yeah.
I don't even think you really gave your thoughts for this whole chapter, but I think you kind of did too.
I'll just, I mean, I feel like I've said a lot about it, but I will say that it was good. It was really good to see Gentle Criminal again. This was my runner-up, to be honest. I really enjoyed it, and it was just cool. I saw Gentle Criminal coming. I did not see Lady Nagant, and that was a cool little addition.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I'm coming off of recently reading My Hero all the way through again. And like, it was good to have Lady Nagant's story fresh in my mind for this, and seeing her like come back, and her power is pretty fucking dope. A big sniper rifle that her arm just turns into a sniper rifle, and her hair is her bullets. So pretty cool to see everyone. Lots of beautiful art, of course. Whenever they display Gentle Criminal's power in particular, it's always great. Hopefully it could keep this up. I don't know what comes for the next chapter, but this was really cool, and it was a good payoff. I always knew Gentle Criminal would come back, and they Horikoshi, I feel like, stuck the landing with his return, to be honest.
Yo, she still has her hospital.
Yeah, she was blown up from the inside. Like, All for One, like bugged her quirk that he gave her. He gave her like a flying quirk, and it also had a feature where it would self-destruct on his command. And I'm like, you could do that? All right.
Yeah, this nigga's official, yo.
Yeah, he's a real asshole. But all right. I guess that's it for My Hero. We gave a good, nice chunk of attention to it. Let us know what you think. We had a big fun discussion about My Hero Academia, but I am wondering how people are absorbing what we talked about and what they heard or seen from this chapter. So please comment if you're watching on YouTube. Let us know what you think about this chapter.